Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Healing Body, Mind, and Soul with Ariel. I'm your host, Ariel Asher, and today I have the pleasure, the honor, and the privilege to interview this wonderful woman that I met at the Girl Live conference in Las Vegas not too long ago. And I immediately wanted to connect with Jill. She's got a very gentle, caring energy. She has a very intuitive vibe about her, and she's just so authentic and so lovely. I just knew that it would be wonderful to have her on the show. Another thing is I just know that you're going to be dying to hear about her specialty topic. Jill talks about thyroid healing and how to get control of your life by addressing some of these thyroid issues. I'm going to let her tell her story and bring her in. I won't keep her from you for another moment. Welcome, welcome, Jill Hoffman.
Hello. Hey, Ariel. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good. It's such a pleasure to have you here today.
Yes, I'm really excited to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the nature of your work and if you would, like, what got you started?
Yeah, so what I do is I work with women predominantly who struggle with symptoms of thyroid imbalance, autoimmune, as well as chronic illness. But my specialty really is thyroid imbalance. It's because I started my own healing of hypothyroidism it's been about 6 or 7 years when I was first diagnosed. And so what I do really in my practice is I work with women, I help them get to the root cause of their symptoms, right? Because for anyone who's struggled with symptoms of thyroid imbalance or thinks that they may be struggling with symptoms of thyroid imbalance, it is like a confusion maze online in terms of all the information, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, what diets to follow, all this information. I know for me, when I was first diagnosed, I didn't get support from my doctor in terms of healing. I was basically diagnosed and I had started having symptoms in my body. And I went to the doctor and she said, well, you have hypothyroid and you need to go on this pill and that's it. See you later. And so at the time,
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is
bye,
right? But this is the common, thing that happens in conventional medicine. There aren't a lot of solutions, right? And it's not. I have a lot of respect for doctors, and I believe that they're all really they really want to help people. I just think it's really the system where they're not taught about our body's innate ability to heal. They're not, they're only really taught two things, and that's medication and surgery, right? So for them, that's really the only approach that I was given. Now, this was 6 or 7 years ago. Things have changed a lot since then. There's a lot more information online. More doctors are becoming aware of more holistic approaches to healing, more alternative things, especially if you work with more of a holistic alternative doctor, which is so great. And that's what I ultimately did. When I got diagnosed, I wasn't doing this work. I was actually a very stressed out graphic designer, and I was in a completely different world at the time. Very stressed out. And that was one of the big triggers for me that started triggering my symptoms. Now, I actually believe that.
You talked about symptoms a little. Can you tell me some? Because I don't know what the symptoms are. So just in case some of our listeners don't know, can you give us some of the grab bag of symptoms that somebody might be feeling or experiencing if they have something going on with their thyroid?
Absolutely. So the most common ones that I hear from people is fatigue and low energy, right? So which is very vague, right? I mean, that could be a lot of things, but it's almost like the type of low energy where your body can just feel heavy. And, I woke up one day, I couldn't get out of bed. I mean, it was so bad. And I didn't know what was going on. So that's a big one. Weight gain or weight loss, that's sort of like unexplained, right? Unexplained weight gain or weight loss. Brain fog is another one where you can't focus, right? Your brain always just feels fuzzy. You kind of feel hungover. A lot of women experience menstrual issues, fertility issues, low libido, joint pain, muscle spasms, things like that, headaches, dizziness, depression, anxiety. So it'll start going into your nervous system, your mental state. Those are really the big ones, but honestly, there's laundry list of symptoms that are,
I know that's so many symptoms, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. And there's a lot more that's associated, which is why it can sometimes be very confusing and it can be hard to actually get a diagnosis. I hear so many stories of women going into the doctor complaining of anxiety and depression, and they get put on a depression medication, antidepressant, which is, which isn't even addressing the issue, let alone being medicated, right? Which is really just putting a Band-Aid.
Wow.
And so they don't get, they're not getting the support that they need. So for me, it was really important. I became sort of obsessed with learning how to heal my body. I started studying everything that I could. I, read lots of books. I was working with health coaches. I was working with all these different healers. And I realized this is what I want to do. This is my calling. It just really connected with me that there was something here for me. There was a reason why I was given this challenge and why I chose to kind of go on that journey. So I decided to make that shift and become a health coach. I went back to school, got certified. Then I got certified as a thyroid health coach. And then I decided I wanted to do some deeper work. I did some transformational life coaching as well, because I believe that healing is a holistic approach. It's not just your body, it's your mind, it's your emotional body, it's your spiritual body, it's everything.
Preaching to the choir, sister. Yeah.
Exactly.
High five.
That's why we so resonate. And I so resonate with your, self-care as that being really one of the cornerstones for what I teach women. I call it radical self-care.
So do I. That is so hilarious. I have a whole course. It's called Radical Self-Care.
Really? I have it in my brochure.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I love you, Jill. I just want everybody, our listeners, to know why I'm having this little love fest, because Jill, I think you're in New York, right?
I am.
Yeah, Jill is in New York and I'm in California, and we met in Las Vegas and fell in love with each other.
Pretty much, yes. Pretty much how it went. Yep.
So wonderful. Jill, your peeps are so lucky to have you. And for me, this radical self-care, I am on a mission to let people know that unless they get in touch with their emotional and spiritual selves, which is the forgotten land, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even mental health is getting more, thank God, is getting more attention these days, but the whole self, spiritual, emotional, mental, and our bodies, right? Yeah. And you need to address it on all levels. I know diet must have a huge part and play into the thyroid. Can you speak to that a little bit,
Absolutely.
Jill?
So like I said, one of the cornerstones is radical self-care, which has to do a lot with what you just mentioned. And one of the other cornerstones I called food therapy. So food therapy is essentially the concept of food as medicine, which a lot of us have known who are in sort of the health world. We've heard food can be medicine, but it's that to the next level, because what I've learned is that all of us, I believe, we are starved and dehydrated on a cellular level and a cellular level as well.
Yeah, right.
but on a cellular level, we're not getting the same, the nutrients, the electrolytes, the minerals, the vitamins that are needed for our cells to thrive. Right. And so this is like the foundational stuff. And what frustrates me is that even like what I was taught when I went to health coaching school, and even when I got thyroid health coaching school and all the alternative, we're teaching eat lots of protein, eat lots of fat. But though that's not what actually heals the body. What heals our body are electrolytes, vitamins, and minerals. That's what the cells need to thrive. And so for me, food therapy is how can we start to like literally flood our bodies back? Really, we need to, in order to rehydrate ourselves, replenish ourselves. And for me, that was, I started doing that part of it, the food therapy, about 2.5 years ago. And my life completely changed because I was on this low carb thing, paleo thing for about 3 years, and I was getting nowhere. I was still tired. I was gaining weight I had gained about 25, 30 pounds in 3 months, but I just kept gaining weight. And I'm like, I'm doing everything right. Why is nothing changing? And then I realized that I wasn't giving my body what it needed. It was still starved. So I had to kind of flip the switch and sort of go this other direction. I had to get over my fruit fear, which a lot of people have who are trying to fear of fruit, which is
the fear is real, people.
Yes, it's real. It's real. You know what I'm talking about. Those of you out there are listening, it's real.
Tell us about the fruit fear.
The fruit fear. My doctor, I was hypoglycemic.
Okay, got it.
And my doctor said it was because I was eating 1 apple a day. And she said, you have to stop eating that apple. And I was like, this makes no sense to me. And I just was like, no sense to me, So I had to kind of, and this is what I really try to teach women and is that you and me, we all know our bodies more than anybody else. I truly believe that we know more than anybody else. And so we've just been out of practice of listening and tuning in. And so a lot of the deeper spiritual coaching work that I do is helping women reconnect with that inner GPS to know, like, to really be able to feel like this is what's right for me, this is what's not right for me, and sort of clearing out the clutter of what's blocking you from knowing, right? From feeling, from connecting to that inner compass.
I think really from being connected to our bodies.
Yeah, it's
really being really working on that connection between the two, because even some healers I know are all into the spiritual realm, right? And probably myself, I'm just realizing that I've been doing so much esoteric work in the last years and stressed out my physical body. Mm-hmm. It takes its toll, right? Yeah. If you're not completely connected to your body, and even though I'm grounded and I'm kinesthetic, right, mm-hmm. I still sometimes struggle with that.
Right. And I think most of us, we're taught to sort of disengage from our bodies, and we sort of live from the neck up. And so there's this way in which we separate ourselves from our body. And one of the biggest challenges I see for women, myself included, is we have this sometimes when we don't feel good in our bodies, when we're not happy with what's going on, when we have some kind of health condition, we start to be angry at our bodies, or we start to judge our bodies, or we start to judge ourselves. And this actually creates a war within our bodies. And I don't believe you can heal when you're at war with yourself. So there's this way in which we have to start surrendering to that war and creating more peace within us so that our bodies can actually feel safe, which is necessary in order to activate those healing, mechanisms that we all have. We have to feel safe. We have to feel, like we're on that we're on the same side, right? We're not like fighting against each other. And that's really, that is a huge part of the work that I do. So there's that part, there's the food part, there's the radical self-care, there's the truth part. So there's a lot of misinformation. I really try to clear the air on a lot of the misinformation, like the fruit fear, right? You got to get over that.
Get over your fruit fear, people.
Get over your fruit fear. Because, fruit is the food the food with the highest amount of vitamin C. Vitamin C is the highest, most potent antioxidants. We will die without it. We won't die without vitamin D. We won't die without even our B vitamins. We won't die without protein or fat. We will die if we don't have vitamin C. So
scurvy, people, it's coming back for you.
It's real. It's real. So, and for me, I just know personally, you know, it was 2 years of replenishing my body, reflooding my body on a cellular and a cellular level, you know, doing both of that work. And my body was like, started to respond. It was like, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you're in harmony with yourself, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask, so talk to me more about the cellular level. How can people, like, is that an absorption thing that we have? As far as is it we're not getting enough minerals because we're not consuming them, or are there absorption problems with the minerals that we are getting? Can you speak to that a little, Jill?
Sure. When I talk about like hydration, for example, so a lot of, and this is, I did the same thing where we're told to drink lots and lots of water, right? And I used to drink so much water. I would just chug water, but I was always running to the bathroom, and it was just, I never felt hydrated. And it's because our water is actually our water now doesn't contain those minerals and electrolytes. They've been sort of processed
filtered out, right?
Filtered out. They're filtered out.
Yeah.
Right. So even though we think we're hydrating ourselves, the water is literally, it's not, our cells aren't taking it in because it needs those electrolytes and those minerals to get into the cell, right?
Yes, so let's hear it for electrolytes. I love them.
They're the spark of life, you know? That's what gives you energy. So when our cells aren't getting that hydration, aren't getting electrolytes, our cells are tired. So you're going to be tired, right? You're just a collection of cells, you know, just a collection of energy.
Absolutely.
So the best way to get those minerals and to get them into the cells is to take it in through raw, fresh fruits and vegetables. I mean, it's like so simple, but and we all know this, but we're not doing it in a therapeutic way. So when I talk about food therapy, I'm talking about quantity and consistency, right? We need to be actually literally flooding ourselves with these foods to get
so one salad at lunchtime is not going to cut this.
Right. Exactly. Or the question I ask people is like, when the last time you had an apple? You know, in my workshop in Vegas, I said, raise your hand once you had an apple 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and nobody raised their hand. So it's like,
I had one yesterday, Jill, you'd be so proud of me.
Yay!
I'm going to have another one as soon as
an apple a day.
Yeah.
Apples are amazing, and they're so portable. They're so easy, right? But we take it for granted, right? We think it's got to be, you know, and there's other things too. It's not like just eating apples, but the foundation of getting those nutrients, and the truth is like, you know, the food isn't the same as it used to be. It's not, right?
Amen. I think that is a travesty, but we don't, you know, that is a whole subject. I mean, there's so many I love so many documentaries that are out right now. You're reminding me of one of my favorites right now is called, what is it? The Magic Pill.
Oh,
Magic Pill is about getting the fat, how the food pyramid was actually like a marketing scheme, and it's actually upside down, and we've ruined cultures because people have diabetes because we've introduced, so don't get me, it was really quite eye-opening, and it's a different subject, of course, but related.
Absolutely.
It's really important that we as humans remember how to care for ourselves.
Yeah. And trust our intuition, trust our gut, trust our bodies, because our bodies actually do know what it needs, but we've been it's like our senses we've kind of been hijacked.
Yeah. Hijacked. Yes. By convenience and by the television and media and what. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's too bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we
can get back. That's the good news.
I know. Oh yeah. And I think we are, because there's wonderful people like you educating people, Jill. We're so fortunate to have you here today. and your clients. Now, what do you do? One-on-one consulting? Do you do programs, Jill? Tell us, what would it look like if somebody wanted to find out more about your services and more about thyroid health?
Yeah, so usually what I do, if someone wants to, talk to me about working together, we would schedule a call. And it's important to me that someone is really ready to take that step, because it's really, they're doing the work. I'm facilitating the change and the transformation. So we get on the call, and I actually have right now I'm working with people in sort of three different ways. I actually have a program, an online course. So for those DIYers that kind of want the information, and which is a lot of information. It really gives you the step-by-step approach to how to walk through, how to live a healthy, sexy thyroid life, as I like to call it. And then there's opportunities to work privately, to have that course, and also get that one-on-one sort of hand-holding, which is usually what most women need, because they're really frustrated by the time they get to me. They've been there, done that, tried a lot of different things. Yeah. And then there's sort of a middle ground where you can kind of have you can get the course, you can have a few sessions with me. So I have different options. I really try to make my work accessible to different people.
And where can they find you? Is there some contact area? I mean, we'll have it in the show notes, but for those of us who are just listening.
Absolutely. So you can go to my website, is JillAshleyHoffman.com. You can also find me on social media on Instagram. I'm there pretty often, which is just Jill Ashley Hoffman. And you can also find me on Facebook as well. Jill, I think my profile is Jill.Hoffman. I think it is. Jill, yeah. Or you can just search Jill Ashley Hoffman and my page should come up.
Everybody is putting Jill Ashley Hoffman in the Google search bar right now as we speak. Yeah. Okay, well, Jill, thank you so much for being with us here today. And I hope that everybody got a little bit of a nugget for themselves. Mm-hmm. I want everybody to check out, there's a couple free downloads on the podcast site. And there's going to be Jill's contact information in the show liner notes. Thanks so much for tuning in today. And until next time, happy healing.